Hi, friends. Let's do some mind-body flow. My name is Edie Summers. Thank you for joining me. And we're going to warm up first, and then we'll do some stretching, maybe some toning, and then we'll do some more stretching and then relax. And just as a disclaimer, you might see a cat cameo. My cat Stormy is in the room right now, so you might see a tail float by occasionally. Make sure you have some water. I'm recording this as we're heading into the summer months, and it's always just good to have some water nearby. You could grab a block. I have my block right here. You could also get 2 blocks if you want to. And I do have a yoga mat. I recommend a yoga mat so that you have that traction and also cushioning. You could also use 2 yoga mats if you want a little extra cushioning for joints or anything else. And then I also have a couple of weights. My weights are 2.5. You could also not use any weights or one weight. So I might add weights in a little bit and maybe add a little bit of a bar fusion in. So usually what I like to do is a combination of warming up, stretching, toning, and then more stretching and then relaxation. I call it mind body flow. So let's get started. We'll start standing up and place feet underneath hips. Make sure your tailbone is headed down toward the ground. You can open up your arms and palms, let your shoulders relax. And maybe do some shoulder shrugs. Go either direction, anything that feels good to you. Just so you know, I have a little bit of a shoulder injury, so you might not see me doing everything with this arm right here. Yeah, shoulder shrugs, or you can just settle into your practice. Maybe let your palms float open, or take some deep breaths. Really ground through your feet here. Eyes can be open or closed. Just settling in. We're going to start with some yoga. So maybe come closer to the top of your mat. You're still here in mountain pose or Tadasana. Reach arms up to the sky, inhale, and then exhale, you're going to roll down through your spine into a forward fold. You can stay like this, or maybe bring the hands onto opposite arms right above shoulders, even sway side to side. Breathe here. Let your arms float down, forward fold. Take a few rounds of breath. Feel that nice stretch in hamstrings and spine. You can soften through your knees here. Maybe even do some plies here. Bend your knees a little, then straighten. Or just stretch, and then you can roll up on your own time. And restack your spine there. And then let's come back to Tadasana and do some shoulder shrugs. Anything at all that helps you warm up. You can even bring hands to heart center and maybe set an intention for your practice here. Anything you would like to focus on today. Yeah, beautiful job there. So we're going to come into opening up feet to either side. And let's do some pulses here. So this is a little bit of bar influence. Just send your knees over toes, slight pulse, breathe here. So again, I like to do what's called mind-body flow. So we're doing a flow practice from several different types of modalities, including yoga and barre. Sometimes I like to add a little bit of qigong and, of course, stretching. I have a dance background, so sometimes I like to add in some dance. Always do what's best for you. And then point your feet back to the front. And let's do a wide-legged forward fold. So open arms to either side, take an inhale and exhale, just stretch forward. Head floats down, breathe into any tight muscles here. Now maybe you place one hand on your block or the mat, send other arm up to the sky. Bring that hand down, place hand on block or mat. Let's look up the other direction. So you can send your arm up to the sky, or you can see in my case here, I'm wrapping my arm behind my waist.
just because of my arm injury. Head back to the center. Maybe even walk hands underneath legs. You can give a slight bend in your knees here. Stretch. Walk hands back. Let's rise up, and we're going to do a halfway lift here. So we're here in a wide-legged forward fold. Nice stretch here. Lengthen through your spine. You can hold there. Or if you're ready to head back down to the mat, forward fold again, breathe here. Maybe add some plies in here so you're doing a slight bend in your knees and then straightening, getting that deeper stretch in the legs and spine. Listen to your body. And then just roll back up here on your own time. Yeah, beautiful job there. So we'll come back to the center. So sometimes what I like to do with a mat, if I have two mats, is put one mat horizontal and one mat vertical, so that if you're doing something like a wide-legged forward fold and you want to turn, you kind of have that T shape with your mats, and then your feet are still protected, and especially if you have more kind of tender feet. So let's come back to the center. Let's come back to that where feet are open, what we call almost like a second position in dance. And we'll come back to that pose where we're doing slight pulses here. You can bring hands to heart center. Keep your shoulders relaxed, sending knees over toes. Breathe here. Yeah, beautiful job here. And then face your feet back to the front. And let's just reach and stretch to one side. Nice side body stretch. We're just waking up here. Let's go the other direction. Reach and stretch, side body stretch. Yeah, beautiful job there. We'll come back to the center. Now come and face toward the front of your mat. And feet are in, we're back here in Tadasana. We're going to step our right foot back. This might look like left foot to you, but just step one foot back. Line up your hips here. You can bring hands to heart center here. Raise that back heel up just a little bit. We're here in a high lunge, and then let your arms float down to either side. Find your balance here. Now we're going to let our back heel float down. Feel that stretch in your heel. And then reach up to the sky, heel floats up. Exhale, arm and heel float down. Keep your knees soft. Reach up to the sky and down. Now you can stay like this, keep going like that, or maybe you reach up to the sky. And as we reach to the back, maybe swing arms to the back, torso to the front. Starting to build that strength as we're stretching, reach up to the sky. Heel floats up there, and then heel floats back down. Reach arms to the back, torso to the front. Now we're going to come into a humble warrior. Hands float down, flip open your back foot. So your feet are kind of a little bit, your right foot's open to the back, and then bring your head back down towards your knee. Just make sure that back foot is flipped open a little bit. Humble warrior. Take a few rounds of breath here. Nice deep breaths. You can stay down there in humble warrior, maybe even do that shoulder rinse. Or keep your hands on the mat, or you can use blocks here if you want to be up a little bit higher. Whenever you're ready to come out of this, just roll back up slowly. And then face both feet back to the front. Hands to heart center. Find your balance. Let your back heel float up. Yeah, beautiful there. And then let's open into warrior two. So we're going to reach arm to the front and to the back. Knee is over shoulder. Let's do extended side angle. Arm reach down and other arm reaches up to the sky. Floating back into warrior two. We're going to reverse our warrior. Drop your arm down, reach with our arm up. Reverse that warrior. Yeah, beautiful there. Float back into warrior two. Straighten your front leg. Keep a soft a soft front knee here. We're going to do triangle. Take a nice deep inhale first and exhale, shift forward. And then your front arm floats down, other arm reaches up to the sky. Breathe here in triangle. We're building some core strength. Use your breath here. Nice deep breaths. Good job. Now you can stay here in triangle. If you want to come out of that, bend your front knee and float back into a warrior two. And I think you might be seeing my cat right now. Yeah, beautiful job there. Let's pass through the center. We're going to do the other side. Warrior two on the other side. So just face the other direction. I've got my right knee in front. You just want to do the opposite leg for you here, warrior two. Yeah, beautiful job here. Let's reverse our warrior. You can look up to the sky. You can look back over your back shoulder. Meet you back in our warrior two. Extended side angle. You can press your front arm into your leg. You can reach other arm up to the sky. In my case, I'm going to have to maybe do a little bit of a gentle twist. So I'm draping my arm across the back of my body just because of my shoulder injury. Breathe here. You can hold there or float back into warrior two. We're going to try our triangle here. So let's straighten our front leg. Keep your front knee soft. Take a nice deep inhale. You're going to shift forward and then exhale. Front arm floats down. You can reach your back arm up to the sky, or again, I'm going to create a gentle twist here. Breathe. And sometimes you can hold in poses if you want to. It builds strength. If you ever need to come out of it, you can bend that front knee. I'll meet you back in warrior two, but feel free to hold there in that triangle a little bit longer. Now, before we head to the front and do the other side on this side, let's go back to the other side first. We'll do a reverse warrior on this side. So flip side, so you've got your other leg in front. Let's reverse the warrior on this side. Again, you can look up towards your hand that's reaching up to the sky, or maybe to kind of work your neck a little bit, you can look over your back shoulder. Just make sure you're breathing here. We're building strength and flexibility. Yeah, beautiful. And then let's come back to the other side. So we're here on the other side. Let's come back into our warrior pose, warrior two. So your front foot is facing the same direction as your front arm, and your back foot is flipped open a little bit. Now we're going to turn and face to a high lunge on this side. So your feet are in train tracks. Left heel, your back heel is floating up. Bring hands to heart center. Find your balance first here. Breathe. Now feel free to stay like that, or maybe your arms float down and back heel floats down. Feel that nice stretch in your heel. Reach arms up, back heel floats up. Arms and heel float down, your back knee is soft. Arms and heel float up. Maybe this time, arms and heel float down. Maybe you swing torso to the front, arms to the back. Find your balance there. Building strength, rising up, heel floats up. Inhale and exhale. Arms float back, torso reaches to the front. Now let's go into our humble warrior. You're going to flip open your back foot. Hands float down toward your block or mat, and let your head float down. Breathe here. Yeah, beautiful. You could also do a shoulder rinse there if you want. And we're going to roll back up on your own time. And then face your back foot, so it's facing the same direction as your front foot. Feet are in train tracks. Let that heel float up. Bring hands to heart center. Find your balance. And then just step your both feet together so you're back here in a mountain pose. Breathe. We're going to go back through a modified sun salutation here just to stretch and warm up. So inhale, arms float up to the sky. I'm going to come this direction. Exhale, float back down into that forward fold. Again, maybe interlace hands and hold hands above your elbows. Kind of feel the weight of your arms giving you a deeper stretch here. You can even sway side to side or just let your hands float down. Let's do gorilla pose. So hands floating back down to the mat. Lift up the tops of your toes and walk your fingertips underneath your toes and breathe. You're going to feel a deeper stretch here, maybe in your spine, maybe hamstrings. Breathe. Gorilla pose. And you can stay there longer or lift up your toes and walk your hands back out and just roll up slowly through your spine. One vertebra at a time. Yeah, beautiful. And then let's come back to the front of your mat. And again, step your right foot back and flip open your right foot. We're here in warrior one. So hips are square. You can place hands where they're comfortable. Just keep your feet perpendicular to one another. So left foot or your front foot is facing to the front. Your back foot is flipped open just a little bit. Your hands could be at heart center. They could be down. They could be up to the side. Warrior one. Breathe here. You might feel a stretch in your hip flexor. Yeah, beautiful job there. And then step back into Tadasana. Let's try the other side. Step your other foot back and flip open your foot, square off hips. Place hands where they're comfortable. Breathe here and warrior one. You can always stay longer or shorter in a pose. Always doing what's best for your body. I'll meet you back in Tadasana. I'm going to grab some water. Feel free to grab some water. So you can see I have a water bottle right here. And again, I do have some weights. I might add that in just a little bit. Let's come back into goddess. So open your feet to either side. Again, back to that pulse. Knees over toes. Tiny pulses here. Or maybe you're doing deeper, what we call plies. Keep those shoulders relaxed. Breathe. Yeah, beautiful. Now, we're going to rise up and face your feet to the front. Let's try kite. So we're going to open palms to either side. Stand up nice and tall. First here, open through your heart. Feel that nice stretch, that heart opening. Now you can stay like this, or maybe you come into kite with me. Let's push one foot off and flex your foot. You're going to find your balance here. Draw belly to spine and kind of tilt to the side. Imagine you're a kite flying. We'll have pass back through the center. Let's try the other side. Push your other foot off the mat. Flex your foot. Find your balance here. Kite. Yeah, beautiful. Come back to the center. And again, flip open feet. Now, maybe you add in arms here. Plie. A little bit of dance here or bar. Plie. Send knees over toes. Yeah, beautiful. Now, let's try facing feet to the front. Walk your feet in just a little bit. We're going to do some squats. And imagine you're sitting into your heels. Let's build some strength. Squat. Sit into your heels. Rise up. One more here. Let's hold. Maybe walk your feet in just a little bit. Maybe so they're more lined up with hips. Imagine you're here in chair. Now let's do a prayer twist. So I'm going to face to the side. Walk your feet all the way together. Hands at heart center. Really sitting into heels. You can face here or maybe take an inhale. On an exhale, turn to one side. Press your palms together. Maybe looking up to the sky. Breathe. Building strength. Now you can hold on this side or you can pass through the center. Maybe go the other direction. And you can hold there, come back to the center. If you want to build more strength, continue to hold, or maybe you head down into a forward fold and breathe.
Nice deep stretch. Let's hold down here. And we're going to do a halfway lift. So sometimes I like to use a block here. You can rise up. Place your hands on your blocks, shins or upper thighs, lengthen through your spine. Halfway lift. You're going to feel a really nice stretch here in your hamstrings. Breathe. If you want to stay a little bit longer, sometimes it's nice to use that block so you have a little bit of support. You could stay longer here or exhale, come back into a forward fold. You can even give yourself a hug, wrap arms behind legs, bringing nose to knees, getting a deeper stretch. Breathe. And then just roll up on your own time, one vertebra at a time. Yeah, beautiful there. I'm going to put my hair back up, maybe grab some water, and then we're going to do a little more toning. So you could also grab your weights. So grab maybe some weights, maybe light weights. I have 2.5 pound weights. This is what mine look like. I'm probably only going to use one weight, but this is what mine look like. These are 2.5. You could grab 2.2 pounds, 1 pound. Some people like 5 pounds. You could use a water bottle too. We're just going to add a little bit of resistance here. Because of my shoulder injury, I'm just going to use one weight, but let's add some weights in. So I'm going to grab a little more water. It's really important to stay hydrated. Yeah, good job here. So you can make sure your block is off your mat. And let's come back to facing toward the top of our mat. And we're going to step, I've got my right foot back, and we're here back in a lunge. And I'm holding the weight toward my center. Yeah, beautiful. Now you could use both weights here. We're going to shift forward. So we're just adding that weight in. Now maybe extend that weight back. Even tiny pulses here. Yeah, beautiful. Or watch this one, rows. So maybe flip open that back foot and row. You're going to drop weight to the front and then pull it to the back. Keep it close to your body. There's so many different really cool things you can do with a weight. Or let's rise up into warrior two. I'm just going to show you a couple things here. So again, I've got one weight. Maybe you send that weight with your arm to the front. Bring it to the center. You could send it to the back. Bring it to the center. Let's try that whole thing again. So first we're going to face to the front. Feet are in train tracks. My back heel is floating up. And then we're going to lower down. Maybe extend that weight back. So you could go like this where you're bending at your elbow, or maybe keep your elbow straight. Listen to your elbow there. So we're working more of the triceps, and then you could go into rows. Now I've got my back foot flipped open a little bit, so it's perpendicular to my front foot. Adding those rows in. Good job. And then rising up. Now feel free to do as much or as little as you want to. Maybe send that weight to the front. Draw belly to spine. Bring it back to the center. You could send it to the back. Bring it back to the center. Let's try the other side. So we're just going to flip open. Let's do warrior two on the other side. Your back foot is flipped open a little bit so your feet are perpendicular. Let's reverse that whole thing. Send that weight to the front, back to the center. You can also just do this with your arms and skip the weight. Yeah, good job. Let's face to the front. Feet are in train tracks. We're here in a lunge. And then lower down. Maybe flip open that back foot. Extend your arm back, tiny pulses. Now feel free to keep going on those, or maybe you add some rows in. Keep that weight in closer to your body. So we're also practicing our balance here and also building core strength in addition to arm strength. Yeah, beautiful. Let's rise up. So again, we're flipping open into warrior two. This is just, I like to kind of just add in, keep kind of staying in that flow state, but adding in that resistance or toning. You can do whatever feels good to you. Kind of find your own routine here. Shifting forward, maybe adding in those triceps in whatever way feels good to you. You can add in some rows. Breathe here.
Again, back foot is flipped open just a little bit. Yeah, beautiful. Okay, good job there. So let's put our weights down. Feel free to grab more water if you need that. Let's come back to the top of our mat. We're here back here in Tadasana. We're going to reach arms up to the sky, inhale, and then exhale, forward fold. Now, place your hands on your mat and bend your knees. And let's step our feet back into downward dog. Now, my shoulder is mostly cooperating here. You can even add some knee bends in or stretch down through your heels. You can hold here longer in downward dog or drop down onto your knees and come into tabletop. You're going to line up your hands with your shoulders, line up shoulders, your hips with your knees. So let's do cat and cow. Inhale, look up, and then exhale, round through your back. Inhale, look up, and exhale, round. And then lengthen back through your spine. We're going to extend right leg out, flex your right foot. Now you could extend your left arm out. I'm not going to do that right now, but you could. Let's add some pulses in here. Keep your hips square. Yeah, beautiful. So if you were to extend your arm out, let's try this one. Reach arms out. Inhale, exhale, round through your back. Bring elbow and knee in. Then extend out and reach, flex that back foot, and let's try the other side. We're passing through tabletop, extend left leg back, flex your left foot. You could extend your right arm out. Tiny pulses here. Hips are square. Good job. Feel free to keep going there. Maybe you reach that arm out and then round through your back. Reach and extend. Feel free to keep doing a few more of those. If you want to, whenever you're ready, I'll meet you back in tabletop. Let's tuck our toes under. Inhale. On an exhale, back into downward dog. You're going to press back through your hands and hips high to the sky. Yeah, feel that stretch in your heels. Now my shoulder is not quite cooperating, so I'm going to come out of that, but you can stay in downward dog if you wanted to. Or you can come back into tabletop. Let's go into child's pose. So we're going to take an inhale. On an exhale, you can sit back into your heels and even bring the soles of your feet together and then sparkle out through your fingertips. I'm going to show you a modified version. I like to drop down into my forearms, knees facing to the front, and just let my head float down. Breathe. Finding your breath here in child's pose, or maybe you're just in a modified version. You can stay there longer, or you can roll back up, and I'll meet you back in tabletop. Let's walk our knees together. We're going to do rabbit. So knees are together. You're standing on the top of your knees. Place your head on your mat. You can tuck your toes under, maybe grab onto heels, or you can rest your hands on the mat. You can even rest your toes on the mat. Yeah, good job. You can stay there longer or come out of rabbit, and I'll meet you back in tabletop. Lengthening through your spine. We're going to try we're going to turn and face and flip open your right foot. Now, I like to use a block here. We're going to do a side plank. So I'm putting my hand on a block. Your foot is flexed. Maybe you extend arm up to the sky. This is like a modified plank. Yeah, beautiful there. Let's go the other direction. So again, I'm using a block. You can turn the other direction, flip open your foot. You could send arm high to the sky. I'm going to have to do a little bit of a twist here because of my shoulder. We're there in a side plank. Let's head back to the center. Yeah, beautiful job there. And then you're just going to walk your feet back up. Let's go back into a forward fold. Breathe here. Nice deep stretch. Breathing into those spaces where we might be holding stress. Relax, and then you can just roll up slowly.
Yeah, really good job there. So we're actually going to come back down to seated. So get comfortable on your mat. Let's extend our legs out. We're going to do a seated forward fold. So you can just sit up here high, maybe keep your knees soft and take an inhale, and on an exhale, you could reach towards your toes. You could even look side to side. Nice seated forward fold in any capacity that feels good to you. Yeah, beautiful job there. Now, let's do boat as we head down to the mat. So you want to scoot up closer to the top of your mat. Sit up nice and tall. You could wrap hands underneath legs and just hold here in basic boat, or maybe you rock back and flex your feet. Building core strength here. Breathe, nice deep rounds of breath. Finding your version of boat pose. You could even extend legs out and reach hands toward feet if you want to kind of build more strength there. You can stay there in boat longer, or maybe you let your feet float back down. Now we're going to draw belly into spine and roll down slowly through your spine. I'll meet you on the mat in butterfly. Bring the soles of your feet together. Let palms and knees float open. Breathe here. Butterfly. Or Supta Baddha Konasana. Maybe you stay like that, or you can stack one knee on top of the other, even looking over your shoulder. And then bring these to the center. Maybe give yourself a hug. And let's do the other side. You can drop both knees to the other side, maybe gazing over your opposite shoulder. We'll come back to the center, back to Supta Baddha Konasana or butterfly. Palms and knees float open. Now feel free to stay like this, or maybe you do tree pose. Extend one leg out, the other leg stays bent in like a modified tree pose. Imagine this were tree if you were standing. You might feel a deeper stretch here in your quad too. Breathe. You can always stay in butterfly pose, or maybe you pass back through there and extend your other leg out so your other knee is bent. Sometimes I like to use my block. You could always place a block underneath the knee. Like a modified tree pose. Just make sure you do both sides. Beautiful here. And then let's extend legs up to the sky. Maybe reach hands toward toes. You could even give yourself a hug here, bringing nose closer toward knees. Now let's stretch our hamstrings. Extend one leg out, bring your other leg up toward your body. Nice stretch in your hamstring. This should feel really good after you've warmed up and been working out a little bit. You can even bring nose to knee here if you want to work your core a little bit more. Extend your other leg out and reach. Breathe. We're going to switch, almost like a bicycle switch. Yeah, so you can start with your torso on the ground, extend the other leg up, feel that nice stretch in your hamstring. We're on the other leg now. So each side is going to be a little bit different. So you can always adjust for each side. Maybe you bring nose to knee on this side. You can even extend the other leg out, engaging those deeper abdominals. Breathe and stretch. Yeah, beautiful job, you guys. And then you can lower back down, maybe pass back through butterfly. As I become more flexible in a practice, sometimes you can even use your palms and place them on legs to kind of get a deeper stretch. Remember, you can always place blocks underneath knees. Now feel free to stay here in butterfly, or maybe you extend those legs all the way out and let your palms and feet float open to either side. We're here in our final resting pose, or Shavasana. Close your eyes, placing hands where they're comfortable. Let your breath relax here. Integrating your practice. Finding any final pose that feels comfortable to you. You can stay here longer. You can even stretch through your arms, or maybe you want to do some final stretches on the ground. Anything at all that feels good to you. Sometimes happy baby is nice to do, even as you're coming out of Shavasana. So you can stay in that final resting pose and just rest and breathe. If you want to do some final stretches now, I'm in happy baby. I'm holding on to opposite toes, sending the soles of my feet up to the sky. You can hold on to your toes or feet or ankles. Maybe feel that nice stretch. Yeah, anything at all that feels good to you. And then just find your way back to seated. So you could even bring knees into the center, give yourself a hug and turn to one side, coming into a fetal pose. And then you can walk yourself up from there. Sometimes I like to just grab onto one leg and pull myself back up to seated, seeing what feels good to you. Let's try butterfly pose seated, or Baddha Konasana. Bring the soles of your feet together. Just breathe here. So feel free to do any final stretches or poses seated that feel good to you. Maybe you want to stay here in butterfly pose a little bit, or anything else at all that feels good. And then other than that, just get comfortable in a final pose seated that feels good. I might stay in butterfly pose, but you could cross your legs, get comfortable, and just close your eyes here. Find your breath. And just check in and just observe how you feel. Maybe bring hands to heart center. Thank you for practicing with me. Namaste. You can stay here a little bit longer. Maybe there's some other stretches you want to do before you finish your practice. And thank you for joining me today. And I'll see you in a little bit. Bye, everybody.